Afternoon, ladies. Certainly the roads are still very busy and both ways, interestingly enough. So people coming into Gauteng and also people leaving towards Limpopo. And we are on one of the busiest major routes in the province, as you note, the N1, N4. And today we've received word from officials that traffic volumes were not as high. They've been steady, but there was not as high as yesterday. Yesterday peaking at around 2,300 vehicles during the peak times of about 7-8 o'clock in the morning. But today the numbers subsiding just a little bit with about 1,500 vehicles moving through this plaza. So today is a little bit of a decrease, but certainly the officials looking towards more motorists hitting the roads towards Christmas, so about Tuesday, and then as well another peak period on the 31st of December, and then the 2 Sundays, the first 2 Sundays of January also being another peak periods where motorists heading back into Gauteng as the year kicks off. So lots of warnings from law enforcement officials as you drive actually on this route. One can see a number of stop and search operations by SAPS officials. They're just checking that motorists are obeying the law and encouraging motorists to stay safe on the roads. If you're fatigued, pull over at a garage and just refresh and hydrate, and also just stay cautious on the roads, watching your speed limit. But I do have with me from Santaco, Rebecca, to give us more details. Rebecca, thank you for your time. As Santaco, what are you looking out for this festive season? What are the trends that you generally see during this time?
Thanks so much, Katleho, and greetings to your viewers. As Santaco, of great concern for us is the roadworthiness of our vehicles. So through our Tlokomela Road Safety campaign, we've been essentially like you moving around the major routes in the country, ensuring that our vehicles are not driving with smooth tires, they're not overloaded, and that they've got proper documentation. Some of the concerns that we've already started recording are largely coming out of the Eastern Cape province. You would have seen we've already had 2 major accidents coming out of that side. Very disheartening to be losing lives, fatigue being one of the reasons that cannot be ruled out. So it's a major, major concern for us. The messaging that we've been driving out is to ask everyone, especially our drivers, to please, as and when you're tired, to rest, but also to our commuters, to be understanding as and when a driver says, I don't think I can push any further than this. And that's just one of the many other things that we're looking at, fatigue as well as the state of our vehicles. But obviously, there's the other issue is the issue of overloading, which comes in the form of the luggages that our commuters are carrying. In Mpumalanga, to be precise, law enforcement, RTMC, you saw they even released a statement nationally cautioning us as operators in the public transport sector to say, reduce the amount of luggage. And so that's a big concern. We're still saying to South Africans, if you're going to still be traveling and you're using a taxi, make sure that you travel as light as possible.
And talking about that, I mean, talking about roadworthiness of the vehicles, luggage, how can those passengers play a better role in assisting a taxi driver, especially because we know many people still use public transport to get to where they're going? What bigger role can they play to really reduce the road crashes and the fatalities that we see year on year?
Look, the first thing is the passengers must be as patient as they possibly can be. We understand that we've got many things to do in Makaya. There's gatherings and things of that sort. But we often find, and we're not necessarily absolving our drivers out of being responsible, but we're finding that, commuters are very impatient. We had one call, in fact, from the call center yesterday coming from the Northwest Province where these passengers were frustrated to say, look, we're waiting here. The driver says he wants to relax. And I remember at some point we even said to them, look, whilst we understand that you would want to arrive where you go, ideally at a particular time, just as we're trying to get a replacement driver to come and assist, we would want you to relax. Because remember, you don't want at a time that's so busy to be pushing away customers. So as a result of that, the driver runs the risk of overdoing it with hopes of catering for our passengers. But also in our part, we've gone as far as saying that those that work the short trips, because there's not much of a demand now, especially in provinces like Gauteng, they need to give give replacement drivers that go with the taxi, so that as and when the initial driver is tired, then there is that relief. So more than anything, we're just asking our passengers to exercise patience, but also travel as light as possible. This thing, Katleho, of wanting to purchase, goods from Gauteng to take them back home. I mean, we've got these big retailers now that have gone into our villages. It's not like back in the day. So if we can reduce on the luggages as well, I think we can all travel safely.
Absolutely. And I guess just another question. We've seen some flash floods in parts of Gauteng. People are traveling out of Gauteng, but just a caution to taxi operators about when they are meeting some of these natural crisis, floods especially, the caution there.
Look, we are saying to our drivers, the good thing about them is they are very keen on watching news as well as listening on to the radio and many other platforms. We want to encourage them to do more of that. Also, just make sure before you embark on a journey that you know what is expected, what does the weather look like, because it certainly is a rainy season. But also, when you drive cautiously, Katleho, it often helps. Because when there is a pothole, you're able to see it before time. Even if it's heavily raining, when you drive slowly and just with caution, you don't encounter as big of a challenge as you would if you were speeding. So the messaging continuously is that they need to keep updated, make sure they know before they embark on a journey how the weather conditions are looking like. But you and I know that weather changes oftentimes and there can only be predictions. So just make sure that you drive cautiously. It always helps because you're able to swerve should it be that you find that there's just a lot of water bodies on the road. So that's one of the biggest encouragements that we're sending, really. Yeah.
And I guess just a last one, your message as Santaco towards the year end. Also, we'll see traffic volumes, people returning. Your message to everyone involved.
Look, as Santaco, we want to first thank South Africans for continuing to trust the taxi industry to transport them from point A to point B. At a time like this, they're also helping us recoup. Our business has not been doing too well since the COVID-19 pandemic. So at least we're starting to see an uptake in terms of, the income that's coming into the industry. So we want to appreciate that. But one of the biggest concerns that people continue to have is the state of some of our vehicles. To say, look, some of your vehicles could really use, a facelift, if you will. We're not oblivious to those realities through the collaboration that we've got with government in the form of the tax recapitalization program. We're working towards scrapping some of these old vehicles. There are some other pending issues that need to be addressed, inclusive of the amount that an operator gets so that they can scrap their vehicle, because we believe those would drive an even higher uptake. But the comforting words we want to give to South Africans is that ours is to always ferry them and to ferry them safely. We are going to do all in our power to continue to improve the vehicles that we ferry them in, the pricing as well. Look, in provinces like Limpopo, I think the message that we can also give to them is that a number of our associations are going to actually start decreasing fares when people come back into Gauteng and all these other, your very busy provinces, just as a thank you and giving back, because we understand that there are many responsibilities that people have back at home and they would need to come back safely. We want to again also say, please use public transport that is licensed. We can't afford to have reports of people being violated on the roads because they got into vehicles that are private or either way. And then the other last message that we want to give is we know that some people within our ranks, in the form of those who call themselves patrollers in the work that we do, have been resorting to criminality, taking money from South Africans, harassing them. We know about those. Majority of them do not necessarily represent what has been mandated by Santaco, and we're working very closely with law enforcement to root out some of these elements.
We'll leave it there. Thank you, Rebecca. Naledi, you've heard it there from Rebecca, really outlining Santaco's message. So many people use taxis still to travel outside within the province as well, heading home, especially during this festive season, to other provinces, but really sending the message that to drivers and passengers and all motorists who use the roads to really be cautious this festive period, and that hoping everyone, really arrives back home safely, and also to watch your luggage there to make sure that it's a safe and a pleasant ride for all.
Yeah, Katleho Sekhotho there bringing us the latest as, of course, a lot of people start to move to their holiday destinations, and, of course, a reminder of the importance of being safe as you do get on the road. Let's look at other news now.